I did this for you. The task of our people is past. The tree grows weak.
Are those your words? Or Arwen's?
Where was Ormazd when your mother was taken from us? Where was he in your hour of need? Elika, I am your father! I am your king!
Say, the next time you want to win your daughter back, you could try just giving her a pony. The apocalypse doesn't really cut it. Hey,
We have one of the powers of Ormazd. We can reach more of the fertile grounds. Let's go to them.
So, welcome back if you're coming from the previous video. Something that I didn't notice before, that I noticed a lot during this playthrough, is that the prince actually cares about Elika. And I know that's a bit of a strange thing not to notice initially, but back then again, I was just focused on the game. I wasn't too focused on the characters or anything like that. But this time around, I definitely noticed just now where he wanted to kind of make sure that Elika is okay, but rather judge to her instead of outwardly showing that he's a bit concerned. That could just be my perspective on it, I guess. But yeah, this time around I would say that I noticed that this kind of game is definitely character driven. So looking at it like that during this playthrough, I enjoyed a lot of the conversations a bit more. It never really made sense to me to just listen to what they have to say when I was younger, because again, I was just focused on what am I going to play. During this playthrough, I learned a lot about the characters. I think I'll touch on that a bit later or in a different video, but so much went over my head growing up. But this time around, I feel like I actually paid more attention to what they were talking about and how they would interact with each other. And with that said, I'm keen to see what I'm going to pay attention to next time, because when I played it as a kid, I paid attention more to gameplay. Now I know what I'm going to get myself into in future playthroughs, and I feel like in the future I am going to pay again attention to the characters, because this playthrough made me aware of paying attention to them. And replaying through some of these games, or this game in this instance, I found something else to appreciate. I wonder if I'm gonna look at the combat a bit differently, or the reversal. I might even be surprised, because the light seed collecting element did kind of bug me every now and then. Maybe when I play it again, I might actually be in the mood for something like that. I doubt it, but you never know. Some elements of this game grew on me over the years, others they kind of didn't age as well as I thought. But who knows, maybe in the future I'll actually enjoy the collecting a bit more, or I'll look forward to it a bit more. Now that we're busy looking at combat, I realized that during this playthrough I learned about edge knockouts. I always thought that you just have to knock away or chip away at the enemy's health bar and just do that up until they are eventually down, or just defeated. But I learned this by accident when going up against one of the bosses, and actually I think one of the minions, I guess. I just accidentally went close to an edge, knocked the enemy, and he just got knocked out completely. And it actually is a tactic that I used a lot during this playthrough, ever since I learned about it. Because again, the gameplay isn't something that or the combat isn't something it's not a driving factor for me. So any way to optimize the combat, I guess, I would use. Even just like trying to get to the spawn point of the enemies sooner or before they spawn, just so that I don't have to deal with that. I mean, I don't hate it completely. It's a nice different take on the combat system, but it's just not something that it's not something that I was eager to get into. The traversal is definitely something I was looking forward to, even though you do kind of like, you do backtrack a lot in this game, especially if you want to get all of the light seeds. But yeah, like combat wasn't something I was looking forward to unless it was something interesting. And unfortunately, a lot of the interesting fights or combat encounters, they are fairly memorable, so it's not even something that I would have to learn again. It's just I know what the solution is to that combat puzzle, if I can put it that way. So yeah, like the game has some interesting combat puzzles, but I already know how to solve them.
Do you get the feeling we're being watched?
I can't feel anything.
Maybe we should go across while it's safe.
Right now we are using I think it's the steps or the wings. We are using the wings of Ormazd. And unfortunately, I feel like this is actually the worst of the 4 powers, which is also why I actually decided to go for this one first, so that I know that it's out of my way. Obviously, it's never gone because you have to use it a couple of times in later missions, but just knowing that this section is out of my way, it made things easier for me, I think. I'm not a big fan of this power because the camera perspective doesn't make it easy to kind of see whether you're gonna hit something or not. I do like the fact that your coat actually shows you which side is, or gives you a sense of gravity, whether you're upside down or whether you're to the side. So that's something cool, but like I do then end up getting a bit distracted by the direction of your coat and not focusing on whether or not I'm gonna hit the wall. And speaking about this particular power up, I don't recall a specific segment that I was looking forward to. I do know that there are some of the other ones that I would like dread a bit, but there were some that I would also look forward to because it was challenging but fun. But that might change in the future.
Okay.
I'm fine. Let's just...
Hey! Are you all right?
Yes. Thank you.
If the powers were meant to protect the fertile grounds, why are we meeting Ahriman's friends there?
The lands have been corrupted. Ahriman's followers cannot use the plates. The powers come from Ormazd, the god of light.
Rest for a second, at least. Tell me about this thing. Why do they call it the Hunter?
Legend has it he was a prince who lived for the hunt. After he'd run out of things to trap and kill, he sold his soul to Arm in return for a chance to become a hunter of the deadliest animal, man.
Picked the wrong man this time, didn't he?
He's not dead yet.
Can't this Ormazd stop Armin?
No one knows where he is.
As I mentioned in the previous video, I need to kind of find appropriate topics to talk about during these quiet sections. And when planning all of this, it seemed a bit impossible, but I realized that also by planning it, the result isn't something that I was gonna be happy with. Like I said in the previous video, that I would just end up reading everything that I wrote and having to write all of that and then also deliver it in a way that I'm happy with. I didn't see it happening that way. So choosing appropriate topics, I would just say that I'll talk about what happens on screen every now and then, but I'll also like read from the book every now and then when it seems like it will actually fit and if time allows for it, because a lot of the paragraphs are very short. So if there's a long section of traversal or light seed collecting, that paragraph isn't going to do it. So unfortunately, me rambling is going to be most of what fills this quiet space. But I did have an idea to actually check through the game's dev diaries, because I've never actually looked through them, or I've never watched them before. So watching them now seems like a good idea, and then I can just share my thoughts in between these quiet sections. But I'm not sure when I'll start doing that. I also plan to read from the booklet at some point, but right now I think I'm just treating these first two videos as like a testing ground, whether or not I'm actually keen to try something like this. And so far I am. And I am already dreading the amount of talking that I'm gonna have to do, because this is only like video number 2 and it's been a lot. But even though I'm kind of like just approaching this a little bit aimlessly, I'm still treating it as a learning opportunity. And even just learning things that do and don't work with sections like this is more than enough for me to like say yes, it's worth it to actually try something like this. Whereas if I were to just leave it in the planning phase and not actually act on it, it's just, oh, I think it's not gonna work, or I don't see it working like this. Whereas right now, actually attempting this, like physically doing it, I can confirm this isn't gonna work, or it's not gonna work for this type of video, or yes, it is going to work for this kind of video, and how much effort will have to be put in to make it work.
What's got him stirred up?
This is the Martyr's Tower. He used to bring prisoners here for sport.
And now we're about to jump over to play. Trap?
Yes, he's a hunter, remember? I think we can get down that wall there.
Some god of light sticking us with his problems.
1,000 years ago, after the war here, Ormazd imprisoned Ahriman. He left the Ura to guard the prison.
And?
And he left. No one knows to where. Since then, the Ura lost the powers he gave them. The prison is weakened.
You can't just pray a bit, bring him back?
If Ormazd were here, he would stop this. He's not, so it is up to us.
I've actually had to play through these first few regions a couple of times because of the capturing issues that I had, and I came across the funny dialogue once you reach the bottom over here. Unfortunately, I didn't capture it, and on PC or during this playthrough I never found the dialogue. You'll even see that I tried talking to Alika multiple times in this section, hoping that I'll find the line, but it doesn't happen.
You have powers. Does that mean Ormazd is coming back?
It is not Ormazd who has given them to me. It is the temple.
I can see why Ahriman is angry. Trapped for 1,000 years.
It is of his own making. Ormazd and Ahriman are brothers, created to balance the universe. Until Ahriman decided to take it all. The cost was terrible, but eventually Ormazd and the Ura trapped him here in the tree. The world was free of Ahriman. It was supposed to be free forever.
The specific line that I was kind of trying to find was where the prince tells Alika, so the two of us stuck down a wall in a dark place, what should we do? And then the hunter arose, and then Alika just responds, saved by the roll. I'm paraphrasing a bit now, but that's as much as I remember from it, and like I said, I couldn't find the actual line. I'm tempted to start reading from the book at this point, but I think, like I said a few minutes ago, that I'm rather going to treat these first two videos as just testing grounds for rambling in a way. I'll keep the booklet reading for like later on, maybe even like I'll keep the characters like the hunter, the concubine, the king, is it the king? The alchemist and the... I think it is the king. I'll keep them for like when we actually make our way to the final boss fight. So this whole idea of reviewing gameplay after it's been recorded and not doing it while I'm busy playing, it works for me, but it is also a bit strange because I kind of have to remember what I was thinking about, and that's something that I also struggle with a little bit because, again, I think I played this at the time of recording now. I played this 2 weeks ago, but a lot of the things that I do mention, it's, if I don't obviously remember it, then it's like it's something that was important enough for me to just bring up again. This is a new thing for me, just to kind of review gameplay after it's been recorded. It's a bit strange, but I think it might work.
I was gonna settle down. I know there's more to you than meets the eye.
Well, you're just going to have to use your imagination.
I remember hearing some news about this game growing up, like talks about a new Prince of Persia game, and I remember seeing the character design and it looked interesting. The fact that like the prince has this metal gauntlet, and back then the group of friends that I had, we didn't have access to like internet the way we do now, but I think we would just whatever information we could find on the games that we were busy playing or that we were interested in, we would just take as lore.
You have to find a way to get to that power pit.
And I remember one of my friends telling me that the Prince's Gauntlet is a result, or the reason why he wears it is because of like I think it was excessive use of the Sands of Time. So now his hand is kind of like withered away, and he has to use the gauntlet as like, I don't know, as a replacement of some sort. I mean, I like the idea, but thinking about it now, the fact that like obviously playing through it and you realize that this isn't a continuation of the Sands of Time trilogy, it's just interesting how that was one of the theories.
Looks like we might skip being the hunter's trophies after all.
Let's heal this ground.
There! Didn't like that, did you? What?
This land is healed. We must go on.
Uh-huh. Why have you gone prickly on me?
You enjoyed that.
Teaching that thing a lesson? Taking some revenge for the people it killed? Yes, I enjoyed that. And you enjoyed that side of things too. Don't worry, Princess. You're still more than good enough for both of us.
Wow. And with you as a measuring stick, that really makes me a saint.
Hey, I've helped old ladies home from the market.
If they had attractive daughters.
Yeah, then I helped them too.
So just thinking about that conversation that they had, I realized that whenever I would hear it, I would actually smile afterwards, because I feel like a lot of media would actually just try and turn that into a reason for them to argue, but both characters are so light-hearted about like most of the things that they're going through that the prince doesn't take offense with what she kind of hints at, that like he just helps people because he's trying to get something out of it, because he also understands that like that, yeah, that's exactly the type of person that he is, and also like at the end of the conversation there was no like hard feelings or anything. They kind of just they just commented on something on each other's personalities and just moved on with it, and that's actually something that I appreciate, the fact that the developers didn't decide to just turn this into a reason for them to kind of split or fight about something that's not that major. I get that this game is a bit old, but something that I do wish they thought about maybe was the tone of the characters kind of changes throughout the duration of the game, because there are some interactions where it feels like you should play the game in a certain order so that the tone of the lines kind of matches with what's going on throughout the game. Maybe Alec is a bit more cold at the beginning, but then kind of starts warming up to the prince. This new approach, it has its own challenges, but it also brings about like new opportunities. And I guess one of them that I want to talk about is like the planning phase on these kinds of videos that I want to do, like the topics that I'm going to use or that I want to talk about. I mentioned that I was writing a script, and before it was a script, it was just a list of bullet points kind of like outlining what I think I want to talk about. And at some point I thought, why don't I just write what I want to say? But like I said before, at one point I felt like I'm just going to end up reading what I'm writing, and that isn't the type of tone that I'm looking for right now for this kind of video. I want something a bit more organic, which is why I would use those bullet points and just elaborate on them as I'm busy watching the footage. It just feels a bit more organic doing it this way instead of like reading what my thoughts are. At some point I'm going to read, but when it's just like me talking about what's on my mind, I think I will just rather have bullet points, like basically treat them like cue cards, and have an idea of what I want to talk about instead of having like moments of silence trying to pull ideas from nowhere. But with that comes another issue of, is my bullet point actually appropriate for what's going on footage wise? So it's in this weird space of just like, yes, write bullet points, get your ideas out, but also I'm not treating it as law, as this is definitely what I'm going to talk about, because as I'm busy watching the footage I realize, oh, maybe I should actually keep that for some other point or for some other time instead. It might be a bit more appropriate somewhere else. I actually ran into some issues with this idea. So in order to comment on the footage, I need to be able to see my footage and record my voiceover at the same time. And I had some ideas before starting, but it didn't work out the way I wanted to, because first of all my DAW wasn't allowing me to import the footage, so I would just end up doing a voiceover to the audio, making it a bit difficult for me to actually like comment on something that I can't see. And after doing some research, I found out that like the editing software that I use is DaVinci, but I ran into an issue where I couldn't actually see my mic input. And after checking through some other tutorials, which everybody just said like change the input of your vocal track, or the track that you're going to use as your voiceover track, I realized that everybody might be using a single view workspace, whereas I'm using like a double one. So I just thought to hide or go into single view, and surprise surprise, I could actually find the dialog page where you can change the input of your track. So it was a weird issue to have, I think, but now that I have it sorted out, I can actually just continue with what I wanted to do.
You don't act like a princess.
How do princesses act?
All the money, none of the sense. Don't know which end of a camel eats and which end...
I know which end of a camel does what.
As I said in the previous video, I wanted to treat this like the other videos where it's just the gameplay and story kind of making it as linear as possible, but this game isn't. I don't think this game was designed as a linear game. Yes, it's linear, going from place to place and doing all these things, but actually spending time with these characters as they move from place to place and collecting light seeds and talking with each other, it like adds to the experience. So I didn't want to remove that. I'm probably gonna say that like 1,000 times throughout this video or throughout these videos, but like I said, that idea kind of morphed into this thing where I'm rather just gonna do voiceovers in these quiet sections. And by actually just, I guess, allowing myself to just go with the flow, talk about whatever comes to mind, but also picking out appropriate topics to talk about in these sections, I'm kind of like, I realize that I'm teaching myself to be a bit more adaptive on the fly, especially when it comes to just talking about things relating to footage, and also being able to just get my thoughts out on something relating to the game. I'm not going to do, at this point in time, I don't think I'm going to do the dev diaries. I'll keep that for a later point because there is a lot of footage that I have where it's just light seed collecting. And for those ones actually, the idea is to speed up the footage because I don't think an hour of me rambling while watching the prince and Alika just doing that would be as engaging, but I'll see what happens. This whole approach allows me to practice my writing if I decide to write the script, and it definitely allows me to practice my talking in these videos. Funny enough, this approach is kind of like, it is a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I'm willing to just go with it and see what happens, because I feel like if I were to just force this video into a similar format to the previous ones, I don't think it would be as engaging as the other ones, if they are engaging at all. Allowing this idea that I have for the video to just take form, I'm taking a step out of my comfort zone to see what actually happens, instead of just shooting down the idea and saying, no, it has to be, I'm gonna force it into this this structure that I have for these video series. And as I say that, I am starting to wonder what that video would have looked like actually, if I were to force it into this structure of removing the light seed collecting and traversing from area to area. I think I did a few edits like that initially, just to see like if it would work, and I didn't like what I ended up with initially. Maybe I should have actually attempted a different editing style, or maybe just doing a blend between the two, because I am running out of things to talk about, and there's not a lot that I can comment on when traversing from area to area, because a lot of it is fairly basic. Conversation wise, there's not much going on besides when I actually interact with Alika, or when the prince interacts with Alika. But yeah, like, I've put myself in the situation where it's I think it's called sunk cost fallacy a little bit. I've devoted some time to this idea, and I kind of want to see what happens if I just see it to the end, because I know what it would have looked like if I forced it into the structure, or I have an idea of what it would have looked like if I forced this video into the previous structure for gameplay and booklet read. But just attempting this approach now, I'm seeing a lot of issues and I'm seeing a lot of benefits, and I guess at the end of the day I'll see if it was worth it or not. I'm definitely gonna start contradicting myself, because I scrapped that script, and I'm definitely gonna start repeating myself. I think I've repeated myself a couple of times already, but maybe next time I'll actually go through with the script.
That's it!
The Royal Gardens. I wish I could have come here more often. I never found the time.
Life just slips you by. One minute you're rich, next you're staring the end of the world in the face. Or the knee. And how big is our...
He makes even your ego look small.
Then we really need to stop him getting out.
Let's use the plate.
Gardens. Where are all the plants?
The corruption must have killed the few that were left. The rest... This place hasn't been tended since my mother died. There's a plate attached to that pillar over there. We can raise it if we fill that pond. It's a counterweight. The cranks control sluice gates that let the water flow to those control ponds.
Any idea which one we move first?
I think we should start over there. But as for how we open the sluice gates, I only ever saw the plate raised once as a child, and I've never seen the plate active.
This puzzle is actually I don't know. Whenever I play this game, I know that this is one of the puzzles that always like gives me grief. I'm not very good at these puzzles where multiple things are moving at the same time. I just end up turning a lot of things up until something happens. And this game has two of them that I'm aware of, where you kind of you need to pay attention to what you're doing when doing these puzzles. There is a trick that I found for this one, where you start from the source and then make your way back to or you start from the endpoint and make your way back to the source. It's worked out well for me so far, but I do think that there might be like a better approach. But at the time, it's just this approach works, and I'm just gonna use it. This one is the easier one, but the one after is actually a bit more tricky, I think.
That's it!
You needed to sound that surprised?
Once we filled the other control pod, then they should move the plate up.
Let's get over there then.
While I was playing this section, I realized that the movement in these like types of areas actually is a bit tricky. Yeah, like you see me jumping all over the place. It's because I thought that the prince needs to you need to push X or A to mount or climb obstacles or small ledges like that, but apparently not. But also I think I was trying to jump onto the ledge, and it's not necessary. With all these small little ledges here, it just gets annoying kind of trying to move around from place to place. So this one I do remember taking some time to actually figure out, because I have the bottom sorted out, but it's this section over here where you need to move like the middle parts, and two of them kind of move multiple parts. It's a bit annoying, but playing through this game and the previous ones, I realized that this is almost like a staple puzzle for Prince of Persia, where they give you multiple moving pieces and then just see how you figure it out. And as I said, like, these kinds of puzzles aren't something that I wouldn't say that I don't enjoy them, it's just that they are a bit tricky. But I do think if you actually pay attention to the groups and what turns when you are interacting with this puzzle, it will be easier. But at the time I wasn't paying attention clearly, and even right now, just trying to figure out how to do all of this, I'm pulling a blank. I have no idea what's happening. I realized there now that Alika was supposed to kind of, if this game was actually like following its rules properly, Alika would have been taken by the corruption like a long time ago, because she just straight up ran through it now.
Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah, like for me, when it comes to puzzles like this, it's just a lot of trial and error, and I get that might actually be annoying for some viewers, but unfortunately that's the approach that I have with a lot of these kinds of puzzles. That accidental wall run actually made me realize that this game doesn't actually have my favorite wall running. It's very weightless, which again fits with the feel of the game, with this game's feel specifically. But in general, I do think that the PS2 games actually had a nice sense of weight when you would wall run. That death actually felt a bit cheap. I don't remember stepping into the corruption, but it still took me anyway. But thankfully, it's just like, I mean, you can't die in the game, so it's not like it's a major thing. It's just annoying that it would count as a death essentially. And if you are playing for achievements on the console version, then that is one more death. Well, not one more death, that is one more save from Alika that you don't actually need. I think one of the achievements actually asks you to not have Alika save you more than 100 times. And throughout my playthrough, I definitely needed Alika's help more than 100 times. And speaking about achievements, there is one that I found a bit interesting where during combat, I don't know if you need it like in one combat encounter, but you need to use all of the combos. It might actually just be like throughout the whole game that you need to use all of the combos that you have available to you. I am not sure what all of them are, but that seemed like an interesting one. So at some point in the future, I think I actually want to play through this game with the aim of like platinuming it. I might try and make a... If I decide to like revisit the franchise for content, then I might actually just do a trophy hunting series instead. Saying that out loud, I just realized now that I would then have to collect all 1001 light seeds again, and that is definitely not something that I'm looking forward to, but it might happen. The combo one is an interesting one though, because I think I would actually have to search up a guide to find out what all of the combos are, or just check the game's manual actually. But I think this one and the Forgotten Sands are ones that I would want to trophy hunt at some point. I can't do that for the Sands of Time trilogy because those are PS2 games, and I don't think I'm keen on getting the HD versions for the PS3. And it's a silly reason, but the PS3 version doesn't give you, or the PS3 version of Sands of Time doesn't actually give you the classic Prince of Persia game, and it's a secret that I always go for, so I don't see myself getting it, but you never know, it might actually come up as an impulse buy. Walking close to the edge of the corruption again, it's almost like I'm asking to be taken away. Maybe at some point in the future I'll actually attempt to platinum this game, because I don't think it's locked behind any multiplayer requirements, since it is a single player game. But that logic doesn't work, especially when you have games like Prince of Persia, The Forgotten Sands, that has like online trophies, things that like maybe, I think it has like online trophies. When I say that, I mean like you need to sign into the Uplay servers and maybe do some time challenges, but the Uplay servers for console don't work anymore, so you're locked out of trying to get that platinum, which sucks. But hey man, like unfortunately it happens. I know that I have a bunch of PS3 games that I can't platinum because of requirements like that, but at some point I'm definitely going to play through this franchise again, and this might be one of the games that I decide to platinum then. But as I say that, I realize that that means I'm gonna have to collect 1,000 light seeds again, and knowing that it doesn't actually do anything, not even for the epilogue, it doesn't seem worth it. But maybe I'll be in a different like mindset when I try it out. Maybe I'll be a bit more, there'll be a different drive for me to actually try and platinum this game.
There.
You said you were stupid.
Never said I wasn't, I can do more than hit.
The power plate is clear. We can reach the fertile ground.
I'd figured that one out too.
The timing of the prince's line over there is perfect, because even though he said that he's not stupid, I mean, I feel like I'm stupid for kind of just walking straight into the corruption. A lot of that happens, I noticed, during this playthrough, where the prince will say something and then I'll just contradict him. Not on purpose, just... it's funny that it actually happens that way. If I remember correctly, this Wings of Ormazd segment was a bit tricky because I don't think I was paying attention to where I was going, and I might have crashed a couple of times, unless I'm thinking about the wrong one. Oh, I'm thinking about the wrong one.
You didn't want to do that.
You would not listen.
Where's she gone?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Are you sure her disappearance isn't another illusion?
I can move. She must have gone.
Then let's heal the ground and get out of this place. So you used to spend time here?
I used to come here with my mother.
Yeah? I don't think she'd be too impressed with the way this place is now.
There were fountains all around here that watered the plants. Trees, flowers, herbs, spices. Things you didn't see anywhere else. They must have been from before, or from outside. She'd bring the children here to look after them.
Never got into gardening, you know? Hey, they're just plants. We can get you some more. I find Farah, we can ship them in from wherever you want. Flowers, trees. You're a princess. You deserve it.
Yes,
You can make these gardens grow again.
yes,
I think we can get down now.
yes. Please, let's leave.
For some reason, I remember this area being different. And I don't mean like now, compared to when I was busy playing. I mean like when I was busy playing, I remember it being different compared to my previous playthroughs. I remember there being water in those I think she called it sluice gates. So in those cylinders, if you can call it that, I remember there being water at the end of the puzzle once you're done. So I don't know where I got that image from though, because obviously like once you're done with it, once the corruption is gone, it's empty. I mean, she talks about there being fountains and everything like that, but when you're done fighting the concubine, I always thought that the sluice gates are like filled with water. I might actually be thinking about a different Prince of Persia game, and they just kind of start blending into each other at some point, or at least when you think about it. Obviously each of these games are just, they kind of have their own aesthetic. They have their own aesthetic, but I just remember some things appearing in other games and other things appearing in other games. And while on the topic of remembering things incorrectly, I remember the health upgrade sections in Warrior Within and the Two Thrones. Those would actually start blending in a bit too much for my liking. Like, I would think that I'm approaching a section that would go one way, but then it wouldn't do that. If I was busy playing Warrior Within, I would think that the health upgrade challenge would go one way, it wouldn't go that way, and then I would play the Two Thrones and then find out, oh, what I was thinking of is actually here. I remember getting annoyed with this particular light seed. I didn't know what I was doing wrong. I think I was just jumping a bit too early, and then at some point I jumped a little bit too late. And unfortunately, the way that I actually got it was, again, by Alika's help. And again, that just means one unnecessary death in a way. Definitely not helping with asking Alika for help more than 100 times. I do remember needing help with direction during this playthrough more than before. I think before I would just run from place to place. I wouldn't worry too much about whether or not I'm going in the right direction. But because this time I was playing for content, I just decided, okay, I need to go in the right direction, so just ask Alika for help. And even as somebody that's played this game multiple times before, there were moments during this playthrough where I actually got spun around a bit. earlier I noticed that I actually ended up going back to the temple, which I wasn't trying to do. I thought that I was actually making my way to the other part of the land that needed to be healed, but somehow I just ended up back at the temple. And I'm not sure what happened over there, or even during this whole playthrough where I was getting spun around like that. I think it was just like a certain arrogance in, oh, I've played this before, I know what I'm doing, and then the game humbling me in a way. Trying to catch some of these spawn points soon doesn't always go the way I want or the way I plan, because either I read the traversal puzzle incorrectly and then I just make a mistake and then I end up having to fight them anyway. I think that can also be blamed on a certain arrogance, because like I said, played this before, I'm assuming I know where I'm supposed to go, and I'm gonna kind of blame it on a bit of the jank.
Looks clear. Ready to be ambushed? Hey, are you alright?
Yes. If we can make the jump to that plate, that will lead us over.
Can you cast illusions? If the concubine can.
I don't know. These powers are growing and changing. I don't know what I will be able to do, or if they'll just stop.
They won't stop. Ormazd, if you're out there, don't let them stop.
I think this is one of the few Wings of Ormazd segments, I guess, where I felt like it was actually unnecessary. Hey, yep, I wasn't paying attention during this one. Yeah, I felt like it was a bit unnecessary because your destination is like, as soon as you fly over this section, your destination is down. So I don't know why the game was so, or the developers were so, how do I put it? They were so focused on taking you through the environment when obviously you can just fly over. I guess maybe just to pad out time, but at the same time it's like, it feels like a bit of a waste, which is also why I wanted to get this one done so quickly, or I wanted to acquire this power early so that I don't have to deal with this nonsense later on.
The last of the Ura. Their queen comes to die in the Hall of Coronation. It's almost a waste of the irony for it to fall on such a humorless people. And I shall take her place, Queen of the Ura, from light to dark. And you, my brave little man, with me as queen, what of you? Princess, I can end your suffering as I seek to. Know the pain I suffered to get here, the things I would do to remain.
Elika! Let's get out of here.
Oh no, now you're down there. You're not coming out. Leave this place while you still can. I've got your back. Keep fighting. She's infected you deep. So deep you don't even know your own mind.
Definitely making progress. Those things she said on us.
We will have to face them again. The concubine, too.
If you and the concubine can both use magic,
My powers come from Ormazd, hers from Ahriman. We have nothing in common.
is there any chance your writings tell us how to spot one of the concubine's illusions?
The only method is to break the illusion. Literally break it through contact. But even that isn't foolproof. That's another one.
During this playthrough, I realized that I actually, as soon as I'm done with the section, I would just have to run through it again and collect all the light seeds. I'm not sure if that is the best tactic, but like, again, it's just something that I wanted to try out. I had no intention of like coming back to a lot of these areas unless I needed to, because I unlocked the power only later on. But if I was in the area, I would just decide, you know what, collect the light seeds now. I'm not gonna come back here anyway. But I do think I had to at some point, because I maybe missed something that I didn't realize. But I'm not sure what the thinking was. I might actually figure that out when watching the developer diaries. But at the moment, I don't know if the light seed collecting was actually implemented because they wanted you to explore the area a bit more, just to kind of show what they have to offer environment-wise. But I don't know. For me, it just feels like it could have been handled differently. but I guess like it worked in some way, but I don't exactly know what a better implementation would look like, but I do feel like there would actually be one. Because 1001 light seeds is not a joke. It's like, it can get tedious at times, and especially if the only thing that you get to show for it is an achievement that has nothing to do with the game. It's just oh, congratulations, here you go, you collected 1000 light seeds. Like, the game itself doesn't give you an extra skin or a special cutscene or maybe like a special ending. It's just, you collected 1000 light seeds, good on you, move on. I mean, I'm not looking for anything extra, it's just it feels a bit weird, especially if it's 1000. Like, it feels borderline like it's on the same annoyance level as collecting all those feathers in Assassin's Creed 2. But as I say all of that out loud, I do realize that collecting that many items, this goes for the light seeds and the feathers, you start forming a bond with the character that you're doing it for. And like I said, you experience more if you approach it for the characters. So saying it out loud, it's maybe not that bad, unless I'm just lying to myself.
No. You have taken from me what you will. You shall have no more. No! I have lost her.
Father?
Lost. Gone from us.
I'm here. We can stop this. If you come, if you help us heal the land. Father! No!
We don't know what he'll do!
What more can he do? That will allow us to enter fertile grounds in the City of Light and the Royal Palace. Let's try this.
If you managed to make it this far in the video, thank you for watching. Obviously this is only my second attempt now at this kind of video. I do hope that I improve in future installments, but that requires me to actually have topics to talk about, like proper topics. I want to talk about things that are like relevant to what's happening on screen. But for now, I just want to say thanks for watching if you made it this far, and I'll see you in the next one.